Hello, it's me again. Becoming a bit of an annoyance again. It's okay though, because we are on the downside. Last month of classes, things are, or should be, getting much easier. I am grading your capstone essays. I'm going to admit, I'm doing a lot of avoidance, like cleaning and shopping and trying to do all sorts of things to not grade, but I'm chomping away at them little by little as we move through this welcome to cold fall, early winter weather. Anyway, okay, so two things. No, lots of things actually. I'm going to talk for a bit today, so bear with me. I am grading your capstone essays, so watch for those to pop into the Dropbox as you move through the week. You'll see my feedback throughout the essay. Sorry, I'm eating an orange. You'll see my feedback drop throughout your essay, but then you'll also see a rubric at the end that outlines more specifically how I came about your grade, obviously not randomly. And if you'd like to revise those, of course, you have that option. You have to email me, you have to have a plan in place, and you have a couple weeks to do that. So I can have a conversation with you about that if you would just send me an email if that's something you're interested in. I don't advise doing it if you're in the high B, low A range, or obviously A range. I don't advise that. Okay. Now, let's see. So the next piece of what we're doing. You're all evaluating those multimodal campaigns, and I gave you an idea of what to look for and why to look for it. But I want to go ahead and introduce what we're going to be doing for this next 4 weeks. Something I don't typically do in my online classes, I have done. I went ahead just moments ago and opened up the whole rest of the semester. Not because I want you to work ahead, but because I know what it's like in those last few weeks. Things get a little crazy with your other classes, and I understand that you may need to be able to work ahead if that's where you are. So I'm gonna actually it's a suggestion from not from this class but from another class in the past, from a student, and I always take my students. I don't always take my student suggestions, but I typically try to take my student suggestions. So I have opened up the remainder of the semester for those of you that may have an opportunity to get ahead. I don't want to stop you at this point. Sometimes you have to wait because one piece leads to the next, but at this stage in the semester, if you can do it, do it. So basically, where we are now, because the lion's share of the work is done in terms of the capstone, obviously, the annotated bib is finished. So now what we're working on for the next month is this recast. And I've talked a little bit about that, and I've released now all of the materials associated with that. But basically, I'm asking you to think about the way that we see argument, where we see argument probably most often, and that is through other mediums, through multimodal approaches on the TV, through social media, through various platforms, where we're hit with other arguments, probably without even knowing it, all the time, all day, every day. And essentially, that's what I'm asking you to think about now. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do as you redesign your own arguments, the arguments from your capstone, your researched arguments. And I want you this week, the goal is this, that every week from here till the end, or however you decide to put it together, you're going to piece together another component, another approach to your argument. And so you're going to narrow it. You're going to tailor it for a specific audience, and you're going to use a different medium each week. This week, meaning upcoming week, you'll be designing a website. You're going to use Wix, which is free, or you can use another web platform if you'd like. Like if you've used Weebly or another platform that you're familiar with, just make it free. Don't spend any money to develop a website. I basically want it to house the various approaches that you're going to use, and also to hold your capstone essays, to give your argument a real voice, a real place. And then you're going to create two more appeals, more approaches, real approaches, for your argument for specific audiences to share. And those will be two more graded pieces, and those will be the final components for the class. All this is broken down for you on Brightspace as well, but I definitely need to approach it and discuss it here, and I will continue to discuss it here as well, and I'll show some examples also as we move through the course. At any rate, So this week, what you need to do is create a web page. Okay, I've posted links to Wix. I think it's very user friendly, and that'll be the home page, right? So if your topic is whatever your topic is, if your topic is climate change, okay, so your homepage would address just the larger issue of climate change. And then from that homepage, you're going to design it accordingly. It doesn't have to be fancy. You're not web designers, most of you. Okay, so, but it has to be something that links to that. It should have your name. You should have an about page. There's information there, you know, that you can provide a color scheme, something that you think is appropriate. Think about what you know about images, about visuals, about graphics, about things that are appropriate just in your own experience as an audience member, a visual human being, right? And then you're going to have links, and they're basic links, and you're going to have a link to your annotated bibliography. Okay, further reading. You already did that. You're going to have a link to your capstone essay. Hey, guys, look, you know, basically you've already done this work. So look, you want to read some more about my argument on climate change, here you go. You can link to it here. So Michelle, this is your essay, right? You can provide a link to it. Then you're going to allow readers a couple of other pieces, and this is what you'll be moving toward over the next 3 or 4 weeks. And that'll be specific arguments. So you're going to take a piece of it, and you're going to say, who needs to hear about this? Maybe, for example, climate change. So let's just take one and peel it back. You think about what are specific things about climate change that people could look at. So maybe you want to make a link for recycling, but you want to identify a particular audience. What could you do? What kind of a campaign could you do? Well, you want to think about a multimodal campaign that you could make. Maybe it's for recycling. Maybe you don't want to do it though, like to the whole world, right? Maybe you want to do it to your local church. What would work for them? What could you do? Could you design a poster campaign? Maybe you could do some bins, something that is specific, something that would work for them. Not a PowerPoint. Who are you going to show a PowerPoint to? Okay? Nobody's listening or watching a PowerPoint. You have to have a specific audience in mind. That's the goal of this multimodal approach. It has to be real, it has to be something that you could actually enact, okay? A real audience and a real approach. So think about that. Is it a TED Talk? Is it something you could post on social media? Where would you do it? How would you do it? Why would you do it? These are all things that you want to keep in mind as you begin drafting these initial appeals. And then you'll post them or share them with us by way of your website. So that's what I want you to start thinking about. First, you're going to design your website because that's just going to hold it. Then I want you to really think about this recast argument. You evaluated other campaigns. What made things work? Okay. You have a lot of different options for your recasts. You have to have 2, a total of 2. I have seen people do everything from TED Talks. I've seen them do social media campaigns. I've seen them do public service announcements. I've seen them do poster campaigns. I have seen them do pamphlets, brochures. But keep in mind, you can't just do them randomly. Like, you have to know who's your target audience. Where would you give them to them? You know, you can't just say, oh, I would just hand them out on campus, but I'm going to talk about vaccinating children. Okay, do college students really need to, or would they really care about pamphlets on vaccinating their children? No, you have to speak to an audience that you have to at least be generating materials that would appeal to a real target audience. So start thinking about this, okay? So in the meantime, this is where I want you to begin. Start working on getting that website put together. Take a look at some of the materials. Like I said, I've released all of these different weeks. Don't be overwhelmed. You don't have to look ahead if you don't want to. I just wanted to give you the option. So that's just kind of my piece. I'm also going to go ahead and tell you, if you want to look at some of the other videos. It's funny because I had this exact same sweater on when I was talking about this topic last year. And it just popped when I was looking at something random. But anyway, if you want to look at those, you're also welcome to, because maybe I was more coherent at that point, although I was sick, so that's interesting. So I'll post a couple of videos for that if you'd like to look, although becomes more and more evident as people are, chalking up bonus points, and many of you are not, that you're not watching the videos, and that's your loss. And those of you that are earning bonus points, kudos to you. If you made it this far and you can tell me what I'm eating in an email, I'll give you 5 more bonus points. Have a great weekend.